good, Ross.
Controversial song.
I know Nicholas likes this song choice.
Controversial song here, man.
Is that right?
Controversial song selection. Yeah, man.
There's something I don't know about this song?
Smack My Bitch Up. That's the name of the song. That's kind of controversial, is it not? Especially after the news about all the domestic violence in the NFL.
I typically don't listen to the lyrics of house music. I just let it play.
Is this house music? They're like an alt, not alt, but like an alt type of rock.
Is it not house music?
Prodigy.
It is Prodigy.
Yeah, but it's not house. I wouldn't call it house. This is like way before house was
When
house.
it came out today, it'd be a house song.
Maybe it was.
It plays like a house song, right?
I guess so.
I mean, there's like 4 lyrics, and it just.
I don't know, man. I call it controversial. Let's see how you do on this. Let's see how you do on this.
On the pull down?
Let's see.
See how smooth I am? What is up, everybody?
That was pretty good.
Swag's here with the prof. I got to start by saying I sincerely apologize. I told everybody that before the next live stream podcast from the Hill, I'd had the YouTube live up in the restream. I tried very hard for a couple hours today and yesterday to get it set up. It's still giving me problems. Lifting up my skirt a little bit, it actually screwed up my stream key for my Twitch. So when I go to Twitch stream next time, I'm going to have to redo that whole thing in Streamlabs.
Oh, the Twitch skirt.
Yeah.
Problematic.
So unfortunately, we are coming at you only via Facebook Live, but still, we got a lot to talk about. So it will still be a good stream. It's good to have the prof back in here.
It's been a long time, man. I feel like it's been a couple weeks.
It's been a couple weeks. We a lot is going on in the world of sports. Prof and I were lighting up Facebook yesterday and today, actually.
A lot of today. Thanks, Rick. We have a lot to talk about today.
And I don't even know if Rick's going to be on here. So
no,
it's
he's
even
not.
better. I think he's
down at the
softball.
fields, but he'll probably be streaming it from first base.
Yeah, I think so too. So thanks everybody for hopping on. Before we get into the content, please remember, check us out on our platforms. We're on the iTunes podcast application and YouTube. Just search in quotations from _the _hill, and you can find us. Please hit that subscribe button. Give us the thumbs up. Give us the likes. If you're in here, go ahead and share the feed so that people don't miss out. I'm going to commit. I can't promise because I couldn't get it to work this time, that before our next live stream, I'll get the restream up so we do both Facebook and YouTube. I know there's a lot of people in here that don't have Facebook that really want to get into the stream, and unfortunately they can't. They got to listen to the replay of the show, and they can't interact live. But we're going to get that going, I promise. It's going to happen at some point. Might not be before the next show, but it's going to happen. So before we get into the main meat of what Prof and I were going at this week, one thing that happened since we last did a podcast, Tiger Woods won the Masters, bro.
He did win the Masters. And guess what? Everybody was tuned into golf again.
I mean,
go figure.
That Sunday got better ratings than like Game 7 of World Series.
That Sunday was absolute must-see TV because he was in it from the beginning. And so even people that don't watch golf, they never watch golf, I was talking to them about golf. I was out at various tournaments, as I would be, as usual. I was talking to people, and they don't watch golf, but since Tiger was in it, I was making bets against people that he would lose.
That's right. So a couple interesting stats about it, and then I want to talk about what you just brought up. So Tiger wins his 15th career major, his first since 2008. That's an 11-year drought. That's how long it's been. It didn't feel that long, did it? Did it feel like it's been 11 years since he won?
Yeah, it actually has. It actually has, man, because you look back on how many years he has had, every swing for the last 11 years, I feel like he's just grabbed his back or flipped his club in disbelief that he's hit a bad shot. And so, I feel like it's going on for that long.
Okay, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong because –
and I feel like a lot of people have, because for the last 11 years, all I've heard from any time that golf comes on any station, it's the great debate, right? It's, will Tiger win another major? Will he win another tournament? Will he do that?
Right.
And nobody thought he was going to.
Well, I think it had gotten to the point here where most people had officially lost faith in Tiger ever winning another major, right?
Yeah.
Until he comes out and takes this one down. The most interesting thing I thought about this win versus others, did you know, Nick, that this is the first time that going into Sunday in any major championship, he was not either tied for or in the lead? This was his first ever come from not being in the lead on a Sunday to win a major.
In the history of his majors specifically?
Yes.
That he wasn't eliminated before the cut?
No, so going into the final round in his 14 other major wins, he was either tied for the lead or in the lead solely.
I didn't know
he was
that.
2 strokes behind.
I didn't know that, but that's
Sunday.
how dominant a force that he was for that amount of time. It's like 1997, 1996, whenever it was. Like for that a period of time, that's how dominant he was.
Yes.
It really, and that's, when people say that he is the face of golf, I feel like he will always be the face of golf.
Well, you brought it up when we just first threw it out there. Think about the people talking about golf that Sunday night and the next day after he won. People that don't even care about golf get involved in golf because of Tiger. I mean, let's be honest. People have questioned Tiger and the family issues and whatever happened with him, but there's no doubt that he drives the game of golf. When Tiger's relevant, golf is relevant, bottom line.
Yeah, and that's true because from a guy like me who does feel like he's a scumbag, like I'm not a big fan of Tiger, but the aspect of him being in the hunt, it's a real thing.
You bring up an interesting point here. That
I still want to watch it.
Well,
it draws me in more.
You bring up an interesting topic that I wanted to discuss about Tiger. So when it comes to Tiger and the whole family thing with him being unliked, isn't it ironic how the script has kind of flipped on the public opinion of Tiger now? Because he went from being at the top of his game, being the king of the world, right? Probably the most popular athlete in the world circa 2007, 2008, right? To a pariah, a family issues, all the injuries, to being like a nothing, to where a couple of years he kind of disappeared. And now everybody's rooting for him as like the comeback story. Don't you find that a weird dichotomy that's happened with Tiger? Because most of the public doesn't share your opinion anymore. Matter of fact, most of the public's rooting for him now, whereas those same public figures in 2007 or 2008 would have been against him.
Yeah, and obviously there's been a huge, over that 11 years, a huge public relations push on his part. I mean, seriously.
No, you're right.
I mean, he has done everything that he needs to do to get back to the platform that he was on in the early 2000s. And it was a lot tougher climb, I think, than he thought. Now, here's the thing. If he was winning tournaments throughout that time, would it have been different? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're probably right. Probably right.
So now the fact that he has won this tournament, now that takes his uphill battle. It takes it and just accelerates
the people
it to the top.
love. I mean, it really, he hit rock bottom, both personally and professionally, right? Like there was no lower. I mean, he was completely out of the game of golf for a year and a half.
Absolutely.
Hadn't won a tournament in 10 years, a major in 11. So, and the family life and everything that happened to him, he completely went to the bottom. And America loves a comeback story, right? I mean, they love to see the resurrection and the whole rise back up to fame. The question that I have is do you think that the change in Tiger has helped his game? And I'll tell you what I mean by the change. So back in 2007, 2008, if you remember, he was a demonstrative figure on the golf course. Like he would yell at fans, he would yell at people, he would stomp around out there. And now he's the total opposite, right? Like he's a fan favorite. He's smacking hands with everybody. And he sort of changed the way that he is perceived on the golf course. And it sort of changed the way that he plays, right? Because he doesn't overpower courses anymore. He's making much smarter shots. I mean, he putted like shit the first day and still got out of it because he wasn't hitting very many bad long shots, long irons, and long drives. So it's a complete 180 in both his character and his game. So the question then becomes, can he catch Jack, right? He's got 3 to go to tie. Tiger has 15 career majors. Jack Nicklaus has 18. Can Tiger keep this momentum going and win 3 more majors to tie Jack?
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, you're talking about one tournament. You're talking about one tournament where he's made that change. And yeah, it's very easy to be happy and smiley and, very fan favorite-y when you're winning, right?
Yeah.
It's very easy to do that when you're in the top 5, you're in the top 10 throughout the entire tournament. So we've seen that negative side of Tiger for the last 11 years. Let's not act like he, once that golf club went through his rear windshield.
Yeah.
Let's not act like he completely turned everything around. So this weekend, or two weekends ago at this point, when he's in the hunt and he's smiling, he's like, "Oh, I made a bad shot. Silly Tiger." Like, no, that's still a PR thing for him.
It
okay?
has to be,
Let's
right?
not act like he doesn't have
He
all
doesn't
the
wanna
PR
throw his
moves
club
down.
and yell, "Fuck,"
That's
right?
completely
Like,
he has all those moves completely down.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a combination of that, the fact that he's been in the spotlight since he was like 2 years old, and the fact that now he's a little bit older. He doesn't really care as much. He doesn't really have that much to lose at this point, does he?
No, well, I think that's part of his whole new persona, right? Because of his age, because of where he got to, both personally and physically, he's coming back as kind of like a nothing to lose kind of guy, right? Like he's just out there giving his all, and we'll see what happens.
And when you approach a huge tournament like that with a nothing to lose attitude, and you still have the talent that he has, I mean, you're dangerous in that respect.
Sure. And I think a little bit of that intimidation factor was still there. If you watch down the stretch, guys were there like, oh man, Tiger's chasing us. Like, Tiger's back. It's Tiger. And those, I mean,
Molinari didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. I mean, like, those guys folded to Tiger. So, but before we move on, back to the question, do you think he can do it? Do you think he can get 3 more majors?
No, I'm still on the no board.
Okay.
And listen, you looked at a lot of video this past 2 weeks of Tiger looking at all the critics telling him no, he's not going to do it, and like
reading mean tweets,
him smiling at it. It's like, well, there's a reason that they thought that. Like coming into that, they would have never said that. But the fact they now have an 11-year history of your tournaments to look at, and your back issues and your personal issues and your the mental side of things. I mean, no, I'm not going to say, yeah, he's going to catch Jack right now.
Okay, and I'm going to agree with you. I don't think
he's got 1 in 11 years.
Yeah, I don't think he will either. I'm honestly just more concerned primarily with his physical health. I haven't seen him be healthy for a long stretch, and by long stretch, I mean 6 months, right? Like, he's got to prove to me that he can play multiple tournaments. You can't just take multiple tournaments off and then jump right into a major and expect to win. So I need to see him playing continuously throughout the season healthy before I'm even going to give him half a chance.
Honestly, I think a lot of the health issues is how well you're playing on Thursday and Friday. If you're playing well on Thursday and you're playing well on Friday, oh man, my back feels really great. If you're not going to make the cut, or you're not looking to make the cut Thursday or Friday, oh man, Tiger's back is really tightening up on him. Look at that limp.
I feel like
come on, man. Like, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, I feel like you've brought that up before, and it's hard to argue with it, right? If you're struggling throughout a Saturday and you're clearly going to miss a cut and you're on 11, it's pretty easy to pull up on a 4-iron swing and say your back hurts, right? And then just pull out. You're not wrong. I mean, the thing is, his injuries are real, right? They're documented and real, and his back issues are legit. It's difficult to play golf with a bad back. I mean, that's kind of just the thing. We'll see. I got to see him healthy before I'm going to give him any more major wins.
Listen, I've seen a lot of guys play golf with just being totally out of shape. And there were a million.
Well, yeah.
There were a million guys on that course that weekend that you looked at. Who was the guy from Korea?
I think
who was the guy from Korea that was like totally killing it? He was doing great. He's like totally looked like the most out of shape human being.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring up the Tony Finau when he dislocated his ankle, but then
no, Tony Finau, like, he was playing really well. He looks like he actually practices his craft. Like, he looks like he stays in shape. The guy from Korea, I forget his name. I forget his name. His sisters are like sick golfers.
I don't.
They
know
were
if
like
I know
bred
him.
from a family of golfers. He was in the hunt.
And what is he? Like, just like
he's kind of a lardy guy.
Lardy. Lardy. That's a better way to put it than I was going to put it.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
yeah. Well, listen, but you're talking. I mean, you got to. Yeah, you got to be at the top of your game.
I just don't like the fact that, like, you pretend that you have to be in the greatest physical condition ever to play golf.
Yeah, it's true. You don't have to be in the greatest shape to play golf. It helps, though, I feel like. All right, so we're going to jump into the NBA because we're going to get into meat. I know some of you already previewed this on social media, the Prof and I going at it, but there's a bunch of other things I want to discuss before we get into that topic specifically. One thing that I wanted to talk about was, obviously we're into the playoffs. I wanted to go back over the regular season since it's a very long season And the Prof and I talked about a lot of things at the beginning of the year, right after the draft, and then into the season. And so there was things I wanted to revisit, things I wanted to talk about. So start off with, from the NBA season, your surprises and your disappointments, right? So right off the bat, I'm going to have to eat some crow because I was very critical of Trae Young. I was critical of the draft. I was critical of the trade, right? Giving up Doncic for Young. And he surprised me this year. He came on very strong at the second half of the year. Looks like he's going to be probably a perennial all-star in a year or two. So I was very surprised by Trae Young's development. I didn't think he had the size. I know he's sort of following that Steph Curry model. But here's the thing. When you compare those two, we always talk about Steph like he's a midget or a runt. Steph's 6'3". I mean, I know he's a little slight, but he is 6'3". Trae Young is like 6 foot, 6'1". Tops.
I think it's the body type. I mean, it's definitely the body type because they're slender guys. They have no meat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
But
I know you're a Trae Young guy, aren't you?
I definitely am a Trae Young guy because I like, a guy that can shoot from 40 feet. I mean, who doesn't?
That's the league now, right?
Yeah.
That seems
but
to be
I'm also a Doncic guy too because he does a lot of things that Trae Young can't, and that's take a beating, drive, and make people miss, and he can still shoot it a little bit.
Yes.
Too.
And by the way, speaking of that trade, I kind of love what the Mavericks are doing with building pieces, right? Like they brought in Porzingis, they got Doncic,
which was the worst trade.
The Knicks
makes no sense still to me.
The Knicks, we're going to talk about the Knicks a lot actually once the playoffs end and we're looking at the draft and what's going on here, but I agree with you. I thought it was a terrible trade. I don't know why you give up a guy.
I mean, he's a cornerstone piece
yes.
of a franchise.
And he's already a proven.
And you got some talent back, but you didn't get a cornerstone piece. Like Dennis Smith Jr. is not a cornerstone piece of your franchise. So, yeah, he can jump over the backboard, but that's great.
Exactly. And, dude, Porzingis is already a proven commodity in the league. He's so young. He's so big. I mean, he's a unicorn from Latvia. So one of the things I was disappointed in, and it sort of bled into the playoffs here, obviously, because of the results, was just OKC and Russ. Paul George got off to a great start this year. I mean, actually, he had a really great season overall. Russ sort of lowered his scoring numbers to kind of accommodate and sort of be a better team player in essence. But we sort of talked about this before with Russ, and everybody knows, everybody that listens knows I am the biggest Russ fan. He's probably one of my favorite players to watch, if not my favorite. But I'm really getting to the point where I'm about to drop my gavel and just put the verdict in that you can't win with Russ. Where are you at on Russ?
Well, here's the thing. So, throughout the season, we saw an Oklahoma City Thunder team that we thought was going to do good things in the playoffs. And what was the reason for that? It was because Paul George really stepped up, but also Russ handed over some of that responsibility. He kind of took it upon himself to say, hey, I am no longer going to be the guy that puts it all on my shoulders. I'm going to give it up to PG. And he let him do that. In the playoffs, I don't know what was going on. I think there's some injury issues there with Paul George.
Yeah,
obviously.
And long-term, that's a concern for him because he's going to be a free agent.
Because in the playoffs, he was not around. It was like, Russ, you need to, it's back on you now. You need to take this all on yourself because I feel like he wasn't even talked about in the games. I feel like he wasn't even on the floor.
No, he disappeared. He absolutely disappeared. So Jason says we're on the 6th hole with him. I know he's golfing down there in beautiful Arkansas, listening to the From the Hill podcast. Appreciate you listening out on the course there. And you're right, Prof. So, I mean, Oklahoma City in that entire series was a huge disappointment. Huge disappointment. And I don't know. We're going to talk about Durant in a little bit and we're going to obviously then touch on Oklahoma City. And we talked about this sort of towards the beginning of our, starting the podcast about Russ and could you win with Russ? And you see right there when Paul George got hurt or wasn't stepping up in the playoffs and then Russ steps up, his basketball IQ is so low compared to his skill, I feel like. Like, his skill is a 10, and his IQ is a 3.
Well, that's the thing, is take Paul George out of the equation, and that puts so much more pressure on him because Paul George allows Steven Adams to be better, allows Schroeder to be better, allows Grant to be better, allows so many guys around that team to be a much better player. And we saw that throughout the entire regular season, right? Well, now you take Paul George out of the mix, and it's the same team that we've seen for the last
It's just Russ going
4 years.
crazy, doing crazy stuff. Guys don't touch the ball. They're disheveled. He's turning the ball over. He's putting up crazy shots. Some of them he makes. Russ is like a wrecking ball on a basketball court. And I mean that. Like, when you watch him, he's the fastest guy out there. He's the most athletic guy out there. But he doesn't give the ball up. He takes bad shots. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just looks – it's insane. He's, like, too fast for his body. He makes dumb passes.
No, what I think really is, one of the biggest downside on Russ is that he lets his emotions take over too much. And he was getting played mentally by Dame. I mean, he was. He really was. Because every play, every drive, every aspect of that game was to get to Dame Lillard. That's what it was. And you know what? Dame played it the right way. He plays it the right way because he plays it cool. He plays into it, but he doesn't let it affect his game.
Right.
And Russ lets it affect his game where, listen, this I'm going to dunk on you.
I'm going after him. Yeah, I got to go back
right now. Mm-hmm. And, if I don't get it this one, I'm going to get the next one.
If I come down and miss this shot in his face this time, I'm going to hit the next one. No, you're right. And part of what makes Russ great, I think, is that emotion and that drive, right? But you're right. He has a hard time controlling it and bottling it and channeling it.
I feel like that plays really well in the regular season because he does carry that throughout the season.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Which is an important part of his game. It really is. Like, anybody that's ever played anything, like, you need to have emotion. You need to have passion. You need to be ready to go. But you can't let it get the best of you.
No, I agree.
And he definitely did.
I agree.
And Dame played it cool and just made Russ kind of play himself. And in the end, you saw the 40-footer that fell.
Well, yeah, and then the comments about that, I don't even want to talk about him. I don't even want to dignify him with airtime.
What do you think of Paul George's comments?
There you go.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I didn't even want to dignify him with airtime. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, what do you mean it's a bad shot? He made it. So if he makes it, it's not a bad shot.
Not only does he make it, but it's an absolutely zero pressure shot.
Yeah.
That is a zero pressure shot there.
Yeah, I don't just calling it a bad shot made no sense to me off the bat. Chaos says I won't dress like Russ for next one. Dude, first off, I can't dress like Russ, right? Because I'm fat and out of shape, and Russ is obviously not. And he's got way better fashion sense than I do, I think. Bob's a big fan of Russ's fashion.
Well, I'm going to go to Men's Warehouse, see what I can do.
Yeah. I'm going to Ross.
I need to get fitted for
Prof recommended I go to that Ross. I meant to hit it up. I didn't have any time. But
let me tell you guys something about Ross, okay? I went to Ross. I was looking for whatever. I was looking for a blue hat to match our uniforms. Ross has some nice stuff.
I'm going.
Under Armour Steph Curry sneakers. They have Mike Trout turfs. They have Mike Trout cleats. They have Hirachi.
Don't give away the address here.
They have all kinds of stuff in there, man. It's like $20.
I need this stuff still in stock. I'm going tomorrow.
It might be last year's stuff, but it's really nice stuff.
I need some new turfs.
But if you have the popular sizes, there's not as much. If you have a weird like foot size, there's a ton of stuff in there for you.
I gotta go check it out.
Yeah.
All right. So another surprise that I had this year in the NBA, and again, I'll take a little crow here because I am overly critical of this guy a lot.
James got a lot of crow going.
Hey, listen, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I got to own it. James Harden's numbers this year are astounding, for lack of a better word. I mean, mind-blowing. And
he could have skipped the last month of the season and still averaged over 30
Yeah,
points.
and still won the scoring title. I am blown away. And I watched a lot of Houston because they're on a lot. You can criticize his travel, that step-back shot that he takes, and you can criticize him running through the lane and banging. But I'll tell you what, I heard a stat about him and the three-pointer percentage made of contested shots versus open shots that he took this year, and it was outrageous. Something like 85% of his shots were contested, and he still scored that much.
So he's a super offensive player, obviously.
Yeah.
He's one of the best. He is probably the best offensive player in the league, right? So you obviously, just with what you said, you place a lot of merit on the offensive side of the ball, correct?
Well, here's the thing. So, again, now we're going to get into the merit of the player. I am, and keyword is what I said, I'm overly impressed with his offensive numbers. I'm never going to say I'm overly impressed with him as a player, but we're going to get into that when we talk about the playoff series and then obviously what you're talking about later when we get into Durant versus Kawhi. I'm overly impressed with his numbers. And the thing is about his numbers, he's always had astounding numbers, right? And that was never going to change because he handles the ball all the time. But to average like 35 points a game, that hasn't been done in, what, 10 years, 15 years?
I don't know. Kobe, maybe?
Kobe, I think, was the last guy to do it. And that was when he was sort of doing the same thing, right? And look at the pantheon there when you're just comparing numbers, right? Because obviously Kobe was an all-world defender, so they're not even a player that you can – yeah, there you go, Jace, his defense. Obviously, that's going to come up. So you can't compare Kobe to Harden because Kobe was an all-world on-ball defender. And
yeah, but we're talking about two different eras of basketball. We're talking about two different eras of basketball completely. And people honestly, people look at defense like, oh, my God, he doesn't go hard on defense every single possession. He's not as good a player as XYZ. Like, that is the wrong way to look at it. This is a different.
All right, hold your horses. We're going to get there.
Wait,
all I said was
the ice
cream truck's outside. Should we holler at him, see if we can get a nutty buddy or something.
Like, man, I like this defense thing. It's really driving me bananas.
All right, well, we're going to get into
all right,
that.
We can.
We're going to get into that.
It's really driving me nuts.
So I was overly impressed with James Harden's numbers. Do you have anything from the season that really surprised you or impressed you?
Giannis took a step forward, obviously, and he took the step to that elite level.
The Bucks, the Bucks overall with Giannis.
And we should talk about this series a little bit because there's some things that I think about this series that, just based on what I just said, you might not think, I'm going to predict it the way it's.
Well, it's the same way I did. I'm impressed with Harden's numbers. That doesn't mean I think the Rockets are going to beat the Warriors.
I'm
right?
I'm really impressed with the Nuggets and them being the 2 seed because they kind of came out of nowhere.
Well, okay, I'll let you have it.
Go ahead.
I'll let you have it for
Please.
now.
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, they just went to 7 games with the Spurs. There was a freaking 7 seed.
No, I know. I understand that. But when you get a 2 seed in the West and you're not expected to be a 2 seed in the West is supposed to be this big juggernaut conference, right?
Yeah, but I don't see it that way this year. We're going to talk about that too.
But when you went into it at the beginning of the season,
okay, agreed.
Obviously 1-2.
And
Warriors, Rockets, right?
I'm going to give it to you too, just because the fact that it's the Nuggets, and I wouldn't even have put them in the top 5 in the West, right? So
that's my point. It's like I'm on board. We always put the West on a pedestal, and they came up big, and they put up a 2 seed.
I mean, they almost took the 1, right?
Yeah. It's a big deal.
I
so
agree.
that was a surprise for me for sure.
Yep.
I mean, the Bucks in general are a surprise for me.
Yep.
Being a 1 seed because they have new coaching. That's a different development. And
our resident
last year, what were they? 5 or 6?
5 or 6, I think. Yeah. Our resident Spurs expert, Chris, is chiming in. Says don't slight Pop.
Hey, let me ask you about not slighting Pop. Okay, what was going on in the game when there was 30 seconds left, and you need to foul to stop the game, to stop the clock, to get somebody on the line, to have a chance, and LaMarcus Aldridge, number one, don't put it all on LaMarcus Aldridge. Everybody was putting it on him. Why are they not fouling there? Why are everybody on the floor, why are they not screaming at him to foul? Why is Pop not running on the floor, throwing something on the floor to foul? What's going on there?
I was just about to say, I don't worship at the altar of Pop.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
I think he's an outstanding coach, right? There's no question about it. I think he's a great coach, but I don't think yeah, Chris says he's already at a senior moment. I really don't think that Pop is the best coach in the league anymore. I think he's been surpassed by a couple guys. Now, granted, he didn't have the talent this year. Losing a guy like Kawhi, what that does to a team, and bringing back DeRozan, who.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but you got the 2 seed in a game 7. Okay, like
he did a good job.
I'm taking the better coach there.
He did a good job,
and let's not act like he didn't get something back.
Yeah, he did. He did a good job in the series, but they didn't win it. At the end of the day, here's the thing. These playoff series shouldn't be 7 games, the first round, right? They should be 5. When you looked at every series outside of that series, no other team won more than 1 game. the lower seeds. It was chalk all the way across the board, minus that series. They should be 5 games. They should be done. That's a whole nother debate for a whole nother time. That's the only series that the lower seed even won more than 1 game. So, but at the end of the day, yeah, they took them to Game 7, and that's great and all, but they don't give out trophies for getting to Game 7, do they? They lost, and they're out.
No, but my point is, if you get to a Game 7, I'm taking the experience and the coaching over, a team like the Nuggets that they're not an experienced team. I mean, they're just
zero
not.
experience, right?
Yeah, so I would have taken the Spurs in that game for sure. I really would have. The only thing is the Nuggets are a terrible road team, and they were at home.
Yep. Well, that's what the higher seed gets you, right?
No, I know, but that's the thing. It's like that inexperience. They're gonna get knocked out here by Portland. They are.
Okay, so last thing that I wanted to talk about before we
they won.
I
know that they won last night, but they're gonna get knocked out.
So playoff series, we're gonna go through them. But my last disappointment for the year, we touched on it before, but we didn't get a chance to talk on the cast since the regular season ended, and it's the whole Anthony Davis saga. He walks out the last game with that stupid T-shirt on about last for hurrah or whatever the hell it said. And this kind of stuff in the league is really disappointing because what do you do if you're a Pelicans fan?
Dude,
you're in such a tough spot.
This is your disappointment. You're disappointed in that. I mean, you see that the league is moving this way. Like the league is constantly moving this way. Guys are manipulating it to where they can go where they want to go.
But you hate to see it,
and
right?
This is going to be.
Don't you hate to see it?
This is going to be part of my Kawhi spiel, right? Something needs to change in the league to make it, to make it so that guys are not forcing their way out of things. Like there's no loyalty anymore. There's no Sixers Celtics anymore. There's no Lakers Celtics anymore, and it is a shame.
Yeah, you hate to see it. I mean, I get it that it's going that way, but I still don't have to endorse it. I don't. It's just the whole thing. And then, like I said, if you're a Pelicans fan, what do you do? Your superstar is forcing his way out of town. He doesn't. That whole saga with him not showing up, and they still have him under contract for an entire season. Like I don't know. You hate to see it.
What's going to happen with him? What's your prediction? Where's he going?
Dude, at this point, I don't have a freaking clue.
He's going to the Lakers.
Maybe.
He's still going to go to the Lakers.
Maybe. I mean, I have no idea at this point. I think that's probably, if I was a betting man in Vegas, that's probably leading the odds, right? But I don't know. You hate to see it.
You hate to see it, but then again, even with Anthony Davis in the playoffs, the Pelicans aren't going anywhere.
I agree, but
just like last year, they're not going anywhere.
Well, they won a series last year
against Portland.
They played well last year. Him and J. Rue Holiday, former Sixer,
little different team.
So, all right, Prof jumped in. We talked about the first round and pretty much how there was no first round minus the Spurs Nuggets. The rest of them, no lower seed won more than 1 game. Chalk 1 through 4 in both series or both conferences moved on. So now we're at the 1-4 and the 2-3 in each conference. Pretty much what you want to see, right? What we're here to see. Let's start in the West because Prof was out there. So Prof,
when was I out west?
Well, just in your conversation.
In my mental
and your
state.
most recent text to me.
In my mental state.
In your most recent text to me.
Yes.
Good thing I didn't take that dinner at Mendy's Bet, right?
That's okay. It's 1 game, okay? And they're at home.
Okay, so Prof is speaking about the Blazers, and he's all on the Blazers.
I am.
And he thinks they are going to take out the Nuggets. And they obviously came up short last night, but Prof is still on board with the Blazers. Tell us why you think the Blazers are going to be.
Because all they need to do, if they take 1 game, when do they play?
They'll probably play tonight or tomorrow.
Probably Thursday.
They played last night, so yeah, Thursday.
Probably Thursday.
Yeah.
If they take 1 game in Denver, it's a lock.
Because Denver's so bad on the road. You don't think
they're bad on the road.
Any in Portland?
Yeah, they're a bad team on the road, and I think Dame is a killer, man. You need a guy on your team that is a stone cold killer, and that's what he is. He's taken his experience from last year and years prior, and he has taken it and stepped up to the next level. He is now on that elite level where he can put a team away.
So I agree with you. He's the best player in that series, and obviously their backcourt is far superior to Denver's, but on the flip side, Denver's front court is far superior to Portland's, and Denver has the big man,
I understand.
who Portland has no answer for.
I get it, and I know he's leading in like assists, rebounds, and whatever else.
They have no answer.
He's
for him.
leading in a lot of things.
Yes.
I get it, but I'm talking put a team away. We haven't seen that yet.
Dame should. Well, yeah. So, but that's not really what he needs to do, right? He just needs to control the game. That's his job, is control the game inside, slow it down for him, bang around with their front court, get them into foul trouble, and muck that game up.
And that's why I think win one game on the road, you take it home, and your other guys now start pitching in.
Okay, so
that's what I'm saying.
So you think, so then to your flip, if Denver wins game 2, that series is over, that Portland can't do it?
No, I'm not saying that, but I mean, yeah,
that'd be really tough.
You win 2, you go 2 up.
You're supposed to, right?
You go 2 up, it's kind of a difficult climb.
Okay, so let's go to the other side. We talked about Harden. Golden State's up 1-0 on the Rockets. Did you watch that game?
I did, and everybody was bitching and crying and complaining and whining. Hey, but is this the finals for you?
In the West, it is, yeah. I don't think it is in the East, because I think – so for me, this is not the NBA Finals, because I don't think the Rockets are better than a couple Eastern Conference teams. So – and obviously we have the Sixers in the East. So I don't believe it's the NBA Finals. I think it's the Western Conference Finals for sure.
There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of pundits out there that say that this is the finals. And on top of that, they have the Rockets.
The Rockets are the popular pick right now. People have Warrior fatigue. And there's something going on with Kevin Durant, the coach, and Draymond Green that I want to talk about. And obviously we keep preluding to it. We're going to talk about Durant a lot. And we're going to talk about Kawhi a lot. So game 1 was pretty crazy to me. The Rockets just continue to go. They don't go away. I'm going to be honest with you. I listened to our boy Stephen A. talk about that game, and I agreed with everything he said, -1 point. I think the final jump shot of the game, where Draymond defended Harden, I don't know if that was a foul. I think it was 50-50. But there were many times, I counted 3, in the first half where Harden took a jump shot and Klay Thompson or Draymond Green jumped straight into him and right into where he lands, and that's the Kobe rule, and you just can't do it. And it is a foul. I don't care that, and I'm not, again, here I am going to defend James Harden. I don't care if he kicks his legs out or he does what he does. You cannot jump into the space where a shooter's going to land. That's how guys roll ankles. That's how guys get, like, that rule is in place. And those refs did not call any of them. And I don't get it.
Here's the thing with that, okay? So if we take a look at what James Harden does on a literally possession-by-possession basis, it is his what? What does he do?
He does that little step back.
Right. So what does that cover? Probably close to 15 feet.
It's not that much, but it's a good 6-7 feet.
Pretty close when you jump with it, right?
It's a good 6-7 feet.
So now you're telling a defender, you're telling a defender you cannot defend where he starts.
No, you're not. You can't defend where he finishes.
Because you have to jump where he starts, though. That's the thing. You have to start where he. You have to jump from where he starts, or at least move your momentum from where he starts. Work your way into where he's taking a shot, and now your momentum is carrying you into the shot. And if you couple that with the fact that now he's moving into you, that's ridiculous.
Well, okay,
dude, but that's like it's like a 20-foot.
Okay, but then let's follow that through. So, are you saying that what he's doing is illegal?
Yes. Yes.
But it doesn't get called, right?
He's trying to play the refs.
Hang on, but it doesn't get called, right? They don't call it a travel. I think it's a travel, but they don't call it.
No, I'm not even saying that that's illegal, but I'm saying what the defender is doing is now not illegal either.
But by rule, if you jump into the space where the shooter is landing, it's illegal. It's a foul.
But if the shooter has shot and the shooter is now kicking his legs out into you and eliminating the area where you can land,
but that's not.
How is that not an offensive foul?
But if he kicks his legs out, it is an offensive foul. But
that's what he's doing.
But I'm telling you, he came straight down on 3 of those shots, and Klay Thompson is standing where Harden's landing, and that is a foul. It is against the rules. You cannot be standing where the jump shooter is landing. You just can't do it. You can't. It's against the rules, and you can't have it.
There's a lot of give and take here in this series, and there was a lot being let go, which I like. I like because I'm sick of seeing I love James Harden more than anybody else, and
you're a fan of
MVP.
his. I'm not really,
but I'm telling you, he does these things to get to play the refs.
He does,
and he when it comes to the playoffs, they don't call it as closely as they do in the regular season, and that's what we're finding out. I mean, this is seriously, how do you defend that shot then, right?
It's tough. It's tough. See, here's the thing. I didn't think the Draymond last shot where he was, flopping around the ground and then Chris Paul got a tech and got tossed. I actually didn't think that was a foul because Draymond, to your point, went through where he jumped and then Harden kicked his leg out, but his feet didn't come down onto Draymond's where he would have landed. So I was fine with that. I didn't think it was a foul. But I literally saw Clay do it, and twice where Harden almost rolled his ankle when he steps down. You can't be there. It's a foul because then, literally, that's how guys get hurt. And whether Harden's doing it or not, you can't have it.
That's why these refs are supposed to be doing it play by play. It's not like one or the other. You need to look at what's going on, who's guarding who did what, who jumped into who. I feel like they let things go, but in those instances, I feel like they should have because I
understand what you're saying.
I see his legs kick up. I see
a lot. He'll do that a lot.
I see the jump back. I see his legs kick up. It's how much room can you give him before the defender gets an advantage?
Particularly because he clears his own space by taking 2 steps backwards. I'm with you. Listen, I've said for years the NBA is without question the toughest game to officiate out of the Big Four, right? I mean, I think that's clear as day because it's almost all real-time judgment calls on contact and movement, and these guys are so athletic. But the thing about coming down on someone's foot when you're shooting, it changes the way that you shoot. And I don't know what my problem with it is I don't feel like the refs are controlling the game enough that way because I feel like we're going to see a Rockets guy now come out and do that to Steph or Clay this game, on purpose. They're going to go right underneath their feet, and if one of those guys rolls an ankle, then all hell's going to break loose.
Let's see it. I mean, let's see it, but they're also not stepping back 15 feet on their jump shots.
True. I'm just saying,
they're
gonna look at the game tape now, and they're gonna see Harden coming down on people's feet, and it's gonna be a dirty game 2, and I'm concerned that that's gonna really end up getting somebody hurt.
I mean, if you don't, there's got to be some defense involved. There has to be some defense involved and allow the defender to play the game.
I'm with you. You got to give the jump shooter a place to come down.
If I can jump back 20 feet and take a shot.
We're going to digress. I agree with you. I mean, I think that jump back shot's ridiculous. All right, let's move to the East. Let's talk about the series that Prof and I do have a dinner at Mendy's bet on. And that's the Bucks and the Celtics. So the Celtics come out and wipe the floor with the Bucks in game 1. They front ran. They dominated that whole game.
And I texted you, and I told you this was going to happen.
Okay. It's a one game, just like your Portland series, right? It's one game. But it does raise some concerns now with the Bucks because that team seems to do this every year, right? And they've got a lot of pieces that contribute. And the Bucks seem to be, Giannis and the boys, right? If Giannis can't do it all. So, Prof, I'm going to let you go because I know you got a lot to say about the Celtics.
Al Horford is a dynamic player. Al Horford is a dynamic player, and he comes to play when it's time to play. And he is defending the most dominant player in the league, just like he did with Joel Embiid last year.
Is it amazing to you that Al Horford can shut down, or it's impossible to shut down guys like Joe and Giannis, right? But can slow down guys like Joe and Giannis. Isn't it amazing? It is to me.
Frustrate them.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's what he frustrates them, right? And then on the other side, he has the ability to hit 3-pointers.
I mean,
score inside, score from mid-range.
He can pass. Dude, he's such a solid player, underrated player.
And listen, so that's the first aspect. If you shut down Giannis in this series,
slow him down, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you slow him down, this series is over. Because who on the Bucks is going to take over the game?
They don't have anybody of the caliber who can carry a team offensively with Giannis slowed down. Not even close. They have some nice pieces, right? They got Middleton's a decent piece. They have some nice players. They don't have anybody that can carry the team without Giannis going. It's a given. So yeah, you're right. If you can slow Giannis down enough, it's yours. The question is, can Horford do that again?
Yeah, he can, because he's done it. He did it against our series last year. That's all he did against Embiid, was just frustrate him, get in his face, annoy him, slow him down a little bit, and that's all it takes. That's really all it takes. If you can take Giannis from a 40-point game to a 25-point game, I mean, geez, that's insane.
George, I agree with George. I don't think he can sustain it. I really don't. I think Giannis is going to adjust. I think he's going to come out explosive in game 2, and I think the Bucks are going to have a big game.
I kind of disagree, only because Giannis is not one-dimensional, but he doesn't have the shot from mid and out of range.
You're right on path with me with him, because I feel like the biggest flaw in his game, if I was guarding Giannis, I would, when he gets that ball at the 3-point line, I would take 2 steps backward and just let him shoot. The guy shoots like 20% from 3. Let him shoot. Just like they do to Draymond now. Have you noticed that, actually? I wanted to touch on that when we were in that series. Have you noticed what teams do to Draymond now? You watch game 1. I think Draymond, they let him shoot. I mean, he catches the ball out the line, and whoever's guarding him just drifts in. They just let him shoot.
Well, they weren't able to do that 3 years ago.
No, they weren't, but he's not making them.
But, I mean, another thing with this series is that Kyrie has definitely put his foot on the pedal.
He is. So
in the last couple games.
He has. And Kyrie, we talked about this a lot, actually, on a couple different podcasts about Kyrie. Kyrie is such an interesting figure to me because
he's unstoppable.
Offensively, he is ridiculous. I mean, he's still, to me, the best ball handler in the league, right? I don't think there's one better. His shot is so clutch, and he knocks it down from anywhere. I mean, he goes from like the ultimate team destroyer, right, where he tears the team apart, to then all of a sudden just coming back in and carrying the team, and all's well and good. The Celtics are always dangerous because that roster's so deep, and they got a guy like Kyrie who can come out any night and drop 50 on you.
I don't know if you feel, maybe this is a bad comparison. I don't know if it is or not, but you let me know. But I feel like he kind of reminds me of Iverson a little bit, in that he can get to the basket whenever he wants, but then he can also pull up and shoot from mid-range. He can knock down a 3. I mean, but like, I feel like he's so diverse. He's so quick. He's so just, he's one of the best ball handlers in the league. I just feel like he has that dominance, and he can really take over a game whenever he really wants to.
Yeah,
right?
I think so, yeah.
And he's definitely turned it up, especially in the Pacers series. Obviously not a great team, but now we're going to see it in this next series.
Yeah, it's a good comparison. I mean, size-wise, you can't, right, because Iverson was so slight and Kyrie's bigger. He's 6'2", 6'3". But, yeah, I agree. And they play offense almost the same way, right, because they'll break you down off the dribble guys and then shoot when they have to, right, or shoot when they need to. Yeah, no, it's a good comparison. I mean, you're right. He gets to the cup at will. I mean, he gets there, and he has the ability that Iverson had to finish those crazy shots, right? Like the circus back behind your head, throw up a layup, and it goes in.
He loves the clutch time. Mm-hmm. He loves being the guy, too.
He's a killer, right? Like
that he loves being the guy.
Yep. You're right.
That's something that Tatum has not taken on.
Well, but do you think that Kyrie's emergence this year on that team has hurt Tatum's development? Because I sort of feel like Tatum's a guy who also needs the ball a lot.
As a Celtics fan, I don't care. I'm being dead serious. No, listen, I'm being dead serious. As a Celtics fan, which, by the way, I'm not. Right. I hate them more than any team in any professional sport. I hate the Celtics more than anyone. Cowboys, Giants, anyone.
Yeah.
As a Celtics fan, I really could care less, because if you're not ready to be the killer, if you're not ready to slit the throat of the other team when it's time to do so, I don't care. I want the guy there that can do it.
It's a good point.
Kyrie is definitely the guy.
Yes, that's a good point. And by the way, if Kyrie moves on next year, Tatum's going to have plenty of time to try and take over that role, right? So I'm with you. I hate the Celtics. I hate to see him winning. I'm still riding the Bucks. I think Giannis can turn that ship around. I think he's such a great player. I mean, specimen, freak, everything you want to say about him. So I'm still going to ride the Bucks on a dinner at Mendy's. I'm going to owe you 2 dinner at Mendy's. If
what I win the first one?
I forget. What did we have on that? We could go back and look.
Maybe football.
More than the Mets? George asked if you hate the Celtics more than the Mets.
Yeah, more than the Mets. There's a couple Mets players that I really do hate, though. There's a couple Mets players that are like my all-time most hated.
Yeah.
We should do a segment on that, like most all-time
most
hated players against the Philadelphia.
Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good segment. I actually Prof and I were talking about that like off air, and we were talking about the Bruins. Like, I'm so sick of Boston, and I mean, I love Barstool, but I'm sick of Portnoy just on there gloating about Boston. Like, I can't have the Bruins or the Celtics win a goddamn championship. Like, I can't have it.
Yeah, everything started with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, where like the hate for Boston started rolling, because every movie after them, every movie started going like everything was a Boston movie. Everything was based out of Boston. Everything, and then all of a sudden the Red Sox start winning. All of a sudden the Bruins start winning. The Patriots are winning. Like it's like everything added up at once.
Okay.
So over the last 2 decades, movies, sports, it's all out of
Everything
Boston.
just shifting to Boston.
Media.
Shipping out to Boston.
Media. Yeah, I mean, it is.
Okay. All right. So last series we got the cover here in the NBA playoffs. Of course, the one that hits home, Sixers Raptors. Raptors came out and really put it on the Sixers in game 1. Sixers turn around and really put it on them in game 2.
Did they?
Yeah, they front ran, and
they front ran, but then they gave it up.
But they didn't though. They took every Raptors push, and they ended up winning the game by 5.
I get it. It was a little bit scary.
It was, but they didn't give up the lead, right? It's not like they let them tie. They never gave up the lead. So that actually showed me something about that game. Like watching that game down the stretch, the Raptors were pressing, the Raptors were pressing, the Raptors were pressing. The Sixers not only did not give up the lead, they never even let them tie. They no matter what the Raptors did, they stayed on top there, and that showed me some toughness in that team. And the other thing that I liked about that game 2 versus game 1, what I've seen the Sixers do all year, and it drives me crazy, is give up massive amount of points in the first quarter. Are you with me on that, Prof? Like the Sixers will come out and give a team 40 in the first quarter. They'll score 41, but then give a team 40. And you're like, guys, can we play a little bit of defense in the first quarter? I know you guys can play defense, but they don't want to do it when they come out.
Last night they didn't do that.
No, and that's my point. If they come out in the first quarter and play defense from the get-go, I think they have this series because I think top to bottom they're a better roster. The only problem is the guy we're going to talk about right after this. He is a big problem. He's a big freaking problem, man. Kawhi is so good. He's such a problem.
But we did solve the second piece of the puzzle, or at least
their second best option.
We're close to solving it, or we can slow it down. And that was the defense on Siakam.
Yes.
That was a big deal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, obviously we know Kawhi is going to get his. But we saw that the change.
Thanks, Tate. Nice to hear it.
We saw the change that Brett Brown made, right? That's an important thing because the entire season we've been talking about Brett Brown is not the coach.
Yep.
And, he doesn't make adjustments and this and that. And now with the bench being as thin as it is, he did make that adjustment. And hopefully that carries into game 3. We'll see if it happens. Another aspect of that was when we talk about killers and we talk about guys that love the spotlight and guys that want to be there, we need to talk about Jimmy Butler.
Yes, we do. And so Jimmy Butler, he has that killer in him, doesn't he? He's got that late game, stick that knife in you and turn it and put you away. And on this team, it's sort of important because I don't want to get into the hate for Ben. I actually have a whole dissertation written up about Ben Simmons in the city that I want to go over after this series or after this playoff series. I really want to talk about Ben Simmons a lot. One thing that really pissed me off, and I was tired of hearing it after game 1, if you notice that every time the Sixers lose a game, it's solely because Ben Simmons can't shoot.
No, I've heard it's more Brett Brown's fault.
I just hear it's all because of Ben, because Ben won't take a jump shot, and I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of hearing it, and I'm going to let everybody know how I feel about it once the season's over because I want to talk about it. But you take a guy like Ben, and then you have a guy like Joe who, as a big man, can't always ball handle and have the ball in his hands and can be ball denied late in the game. It really puts the onus on having a killer, and Jimmy's that guy.
For Joe, you can't have diarrhea in that game, right? You have to find a way to not have diarrhea, right?
For Joe, I mean, he is a physical marvel, and yet there's always something oddly physically wrong with him, right?
Yeah.
Like it's an orbital bone, it's diarrhea, it's conditioning. I mean, I love Joe, don't get me wrong, but
I'd be interested to see where he went out to eat the night before. That's all.
Hopefully not Mendy's.
Well, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, really.
So what do you think? All right, so we're tied at 1, right? So the Sixers won a huge game 2 in Toronto. Either way, I think it's gonna be a long series, right? Because I think the teams are pretty evenly matched.
Yeah.
Do you think the Sixers can pull this out?
Yeah, I think we figured some things out here. I think that you can contain Kawhi enough. He's going to go off.
Yeah, I mean he's
going to get 25 to 40 points every single game, right? But I think we figured it out enough so that we can kind of contain the others. Even Kyle Lowry was hitting shots last night. By the way, did you see at the end of the game what he tried to do?
No, I might have missed it, or maybe I did, or I'm not remembering.
So at the end of the game, Kyle Lowry, the last possession, tries to take the ball, dribble around, and throw the ball through Tobias Harris's legs.
Really?
You didn't see that on Twitter?
I must have missed it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was accidental, if the ball was slipping out of his hands and he just kind of threw it that way, but it looked like he was trying to drive through his legs, come back out the other side, take the ball. I swear. I didn't.
You're gonna have to send me this on
Listen,
Twitter.
I didn't catch it on the first go round either.
Okay.
But it's all on Twitter. But yeah, I really think that we've found out enough things about the Raptors, and this is what we have seen in the rest of their team for the last couple of years, right? Is that they do struggle in the playoffs. When it comes to those pressure situations, they struggle. Kawhi's not going to be that guy. We know that. But
Kyle Lowry is a guy that will struggle.
Right. If we can take away, enough points from Kawhi, maybe the other part of the team has enough pressure on them to struggle. And
is Kyle Lowry the least clutch player ever? And you hate to hear it, right? Because he's a Nova kid, but his playoff numbers are just almost pathetic. And it's not just a reoccurring theme because we want to talk about it. It is because it is.
Like, I don't even know what he had last night, but I know coming into this game it wasn't looking very well.
It's been very, very poor. All right. Let's get into what we wanted to talk about from the beginning. And that is, so after game 1, your boy Swags went to social media, and I had to put this out there that I think Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the NBA.
About myself, I just can't give you a whole spiel. I don't even know where you're sitting at.
So that's our boy Kawhi. And Prof took exception to this. Prof took big exception to this, and he fired back that it's Kevin Durant. So we had to talk about this, obviously, on air. And for me, I said this at the beginning of last year. I said my 3 best players in the league were, in this order, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard. That was my top 3. And with LeBron obviously having the health issues this year, and I mentioned this, it looks like father time. I don't think LeBron's done by any sense of the mean, right? But
it's not father time. It's father, my team sucks.
That too, and father, I'm in LA, right? A lot of things catching up with LeBron this year. So I'm pulling him back for the season. Now you got Durant and Kawhi left. And I look at what Kawhi did all year. I'll give you guys the numbers for the 2. So basic comparison, Kawhi's 27, KD's 30. By the way, Kevin Durant has my birthday, September 29th. So obviously he was born to be a star. And I want to say, by the way, just so we're clear here, Prof is a huge Kawhi fan, and I'm a huge KD fan. When we make these arguments here, we're not slighting either guy, right? We're just kind of saying why we think this guy can get over it. When you're arguing about 1-2, right, it's hard to do. So they have Kawhi listed at 6'7". They have Durant listed at 6'9". Their numbers for this season,
which is wrong.
Well, yeah, because Durant's 7'4", right?
No, Durant is at least 6'11".
They have him at 6'9", is where he's listed. But
no, Wikipedia does.
Prof had him at 7'4". So Kawhi, 26.5 points a game this year, 7.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists. KD, 26 points even, 6.5 boards, 6 assists. So their numbers are pretty comparable this year. Durant, a little 2.5 more assists. Kawhi, 1 more rebound. Kawhi, 0.5 point more.
Can we stop? Can we stop with the stats right now?
Pretty comparable. I'm just laying the groundwork.
No, let's just stop with the stats right now, and let's talk about what has gone on the last week or 2 weeks, right? Let's look at what Kevin Durant has done in the playoffs when it comes time to be in the playoffs. Obviously, the Warriors knew from Jump Street, we're going to the finals. We are definitely going to the playoffs, right? So when it comes time to be in the playoffs, he's the one that steps up. He's the one. And you look at that cast of characters, and to be the best guy out of that entire cast of characters, when you have guys like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Green, when you're the best guy, when you're the go-to guy, you're the guy that puts the game away, even with the rest of those guys there on your own team. That says something.
Okay,
to be the best player on a team with Steph Curry on it.
All right, so a couple things first. He was the best guy before he got there.
He was, but I'm just saying
and he's still the best guy because he got there.
That's what I'm saying. He's still the best guy, but people are saying
he's not the guy who puts the game away all the time. Steph put away game 1 against the Warriors or against the Rockets. Just putting that out there.
Kevin Durant had what? How do you have 50 points?
But you said the guy who puts the game away.
He had 50 points.
Steph put the game away.
What with how many points did he have? 25. He had 25 points.
He had that 3 that ended that game.
Kevin Durant is the best offensive player in the league.
Okay. So do you
without question, he doesn't miss shots. He's unguardable.
Okay,
he's not 6'9". He's 6'11".
George is a good straight man. So you think that KD is a better offensive player than James Harden?
Yes, I do. Why? Because he's 7 feet tall.
7'4".
He's at least 7'9". He's unguardable.
All right, so I actually agree with you here. I do think Kevin Durant is the best offensive player in the league because of what you said, because he can get his jump shot off pretty much whenever he wants.
But he doesn't miss shots.
He misses shots. He shoots a great percentage. For me, yes, I agree. I think he's the best offensive player in the league. I think it's close with him and Harden, but I do think that Durant is the best offensive player in the league. Yes.
Without question. And you don't see that throughout the year because there's no need for him to show you that throughout the year. You saw more of that on OKC because he needed to show you that.
Well, and those were his scoring years, right? I mean, he went to Golden State specifically to win championships, right? That's not even a question.
My point is
he lost game 7 against them and then went to them. Those were when he was winning scoring titles. So he obviously knew going there, there's only so many points to go around on Golden State, right?
If he wanted to average what James Harden averaged this year, he could. The fact is, he needs to move the ball around. All those guys need to eat, right? When you have a super team, everybody wants the ball. Everybody needs to eat. You have to be a team player to win championships, right? That's what he did this year.
So the argument against Durant also is that he went to a super team, right?
He did.
So when we talk about moving away from stats, Kevin Durant has 2 championships, 0 without the Warriors. Kawhi Leonard has a championship as the best player on his team with the Spurs over LeBron James.
Whoa. Who else was on that team?
I mean, we can pull up the roster.
Who else was on that team?
Kawhi Leonard was the best player on that team.
Who else was on the team?
We have to pull up the roster.
They have a couple Hall of Famers on that team.
Sure, none of them.
Maybe 3.
None of them close to their prime.
Maybe 3.
Maybe.
This is going back a long time. It was like 5-6 years ago.
I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. It was right before the Warriors started their run.
We forget that Kawhi played with these Hall of Fame players and had the best coach of all time.
Now he's the best coach of all time.
You know what I'm saying. Top 5. Okay.
All right. So
top 3. And then on top of that fact, we forget that he sat out because he was so upset last year. People get all upset
because
he was hurt. Listen, stop.
He was hurt.
Stop. People get all upset because Kevin Durant wanted to get out and wanted to go to a super team. And it's like, oh, he's a bitch now because he wanted to go to a team just to win championships. Well, we forget that Kawhi sat out an entire season last year. An entire season.
He was hurt, man.
And demanded a trade. But so he could have demanded a trade to the Bobcats that aren't in existence anymore. But he could have demanded a trade to any team. But who did he go to? Oh, he went to the number 1 seed in the East last year.
Actually, that's sorry. So I got to stop you there. So he didn't actually demand a trade to a team.
Stop. He demanded a trade, not to a specific team,
right.
but
he wanted to get out. He couldn't really decide where he was going to go.
Right. So
the best deal they got back was because Toronto wanted him, and obviously we talked about this move for them to start the year. They took a risk, right? Because Kawhi's contract expires at the end of this season, so he can walk. And the risk they took was giving up DeRozan and that team they had locked down for the next couple of years for Kawhi. Just a quick sidebar before we get back into our debate. Have you heard the rumblings since they're playing Kawhi now, and he's obviously going off in the series already and has all year, about that. Remember that Ben Simmons had to be in a trade to get him? Do you remember that? When the Spurs had him, when we were trying to trade for Kawhi and they said it had to be Ben and we wouldn't do it?
Yes, and the answer is no.
Correct. It is still no. It is still no. It will always be no. It was always no.
Because who's defending him?
Ben.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Ben's going to be, in the next year or two, the best defensive
player in the league. Yes. He's already a finished product on defense, and he's 24.
Right.
I mean, he's already there. Right. So, yeah, totally agree with you. And everybody that's listening and calls in a 97.5 and says you should have traded Ben for Kawhi.
Stupid.
Yeah, eat it.
Don't do it.
So he gets traded to Toronto, and they took that risk.
But why does he get a pass for doing that? Kevin Durant gets completely crucified.
It's not
for going to a super team.
Here's why. I don't crucify Durant for doing that specifically. I brought it up to poke the bear, but I don't care that Durant did it, honestly. I kind of didn't want him to do it because I am a Durant fan as a player. I'm on record way back in the day.
You know why he did that, right?
What, went to Golden State?
Yes.
Yeah, to win championships.
To win championships, why? Because who else did that before him?
Oh, everybody.
No.
LeBron.
Exactly.
Kevin Garnett.
No,
they all did it.
No, you answered it with the first. So Kevin Durant has a thing with his legacy. He wants to be known as one of the best players of all time. He knows championships is a big part of that. But he also knows that LeBron went to start racking championships with Miami. That's what he's doing. And now what he's going to do next year when he goes to New York, because that's where he's going to go.
So you think he's going to follow the LeBron model in that he got his championships racked in.
He needs to rack.
And now he's got to go get his own.
Yes. That's what he's going to do.
Fair point. I actually agree with you there. I agree with you. However, that's why he gets criticized, because he went to a team that didn't even need him to win championships.
Yeah, but we low-key let him go. We let Kawhi go because he went to the East.
For me to tell you about myself, I just can't give you a whole spiel. I don't even know where you're sitting at.
We let him go. We let him go. And I know he didn't choose the Raptors specifically, but there was a very finite number of teams that had the capacity to trade for him. They happened to be one of them, and they made a risky decision. It might pay out. We don't even know.
Well, we don't know. Watching it. We're in the midst of watching it.
We'll know in the next week.
Right.
But you know what? It might not, and then he's gone. And then they're back to nothing. And then Drake's sitting there crying in his hands.
Yeah, unless he stays, which we'll have to analyze more in the offseason. So it's true. So let's talk about why I think Kawhi is a better player right now than Durant. And it has to do with a couple factors. The first, obviously, is the way that Kawhi's playing. And I think from watching Kawhi quite a bit this year and last year, I think he's the best on-ball defender I've ever seen. And that says a lot to me because I hold Kobe in such a high regard, and I thought he was the best on-ball defender I'd ever seen. I think Kawhi Leonard's the best on-ball defender I've ever seen. No, he wasn't. Kobe was a better on-ball defender than Mike, for sure. Mike had better pursuit. He was better in passing lanes. Kobe was a better on-ball defender. I'll argue that.
We're in a different era of basketball.
We are. However, when you compare the players, Kevin Durant is basically an average defensive player for his size. And that bugs me a lot with him. Kawhi is a game-changing defensive player in the fact that every single player in the league, including Durant, there's a part of me that wants to see the Warriors and the Raptors go at this. Like I'm acting still in Spurs, and the Raptors go at it this year in the finals if they somehow sneak past the Sixers, because I want to see Kawhi guard Durant, and Kawhi can bother anybody, including Durant.
That's true, but I think there's too much emphasis that you and the others that have told me that Kawhi is better than Kevin Durant. There's too much emphasis placed on defense. Look at, and here's the simple fact. I've listened to a ton of stuff this week, ton of podcasts, ton of TV, ton of radio, everything. And how did all this conversation start? So Steve Kerr comes out and says Kevin Durant is the best player in the world. He's this, he's that, he does this, he does that. And that sparked a debate within the media. So on every show, every radio, TV, podcast, everything, they've talked about, is Kevin Durant the best player in the world? You know how I know that Kawhi is not the best player in the world? because he's not even been mentioned on any of the TV shows, any of the radio shows, any of the podcasts that I've listened to. Not one. Not one. And it's been a lot. It's been Kevin Durant, Giannis, James Harden. Those are the three people that they're talking about. The fact that he's such a great defender, I get. It's very valuable. It's very important. But he's still not in that upper echelon. And why I think that is because it comes down to specific moments. You can look at different stats. You could look at defensive metrics. You could look at all that stuff, assists, rebounds. What it comes down to is, in the moment, who do you want to take the shot? Who do you want to have the ball? Who do you want with the game on the line? And the fact of the matter is, that's Kevin Durant, and that's not Kawhi Leonard yet. I know he's won a championship. I know he was the Finals MVP. I get it, but there was other Hall of Famers around him there. I just say over the last 5 years plus, that guy's been Kevin Durant way more so than Kawhi Leonard, who sat out all of last year, who wanted to get out of there, who went to the number 1 seed. Like, we keep just letting him slide on that stuff. But we look at Kevin Durant and say, oh, he went to the best team in the world ever of all time. But you know what? He's still the guy.
Okay. So you made points, bunch of valid points. I want to talk about some of them. So I want to squirt away from your last 5 years, only because what I was saying is this year, right? I acknowledge that last year it went Bron, Durant, Kawhi to end the season. This year I got Kawhi, Durant, Bron.
I don't have won the Finals MVP last year.
I don't have who?
Durant.
Yeah, I'm second last year. Right. Bron, Durant, Kawhi. You disagree with that? You think Durant was a better player than LeBron last year? I mean, LeBron carried the Cavaliers the entire season. Yeah. Right. So this year, I have Kawhi above him because of what Kawhi's doing and what is happening to Durant. Durant's got the most texts ever in the history of Kevin Durant, right? His highest text season ever. There's something going on with the people criticizing him about next season, about Draymond, about Kerr, about the whole dynamic there that has Durant a little off kilter, and he has been all year. And he's a loose cannon. Like, people are getting into his head. He's been get-toable this year like I've never seen him been able to be gotten to before. I get what you're saying about best offensive player, and I actually am not surprised that none of the national pundits would have Kawhi in when they would have Giannis and Harden there.
Let me tell you, when I say nobody, I've listened to Zach Lowe, I've listened to Russillo, I've listened to Simmons, I've listened to Gottlieb, I've listened like all the guys.
You know who did have Kawhi in there? The best in the business, Stephen A. Smith.
Jack McGuigan.
Well, yeah, of course. Of course I did. But the best in the business, when he asked if Durant was the best player, the next person he mentioned was Kawhi. And that's the man himself, Stephen A., because he knows. Let me tell you something. And here's the other part.
Let me be very, very clear.
If you pontificating. So here's the thing.
He's an idiot, by the way.
Dude, Stephen A. is the best in the business. So you know how high I hold Russillo, so that's a given. So with Kawhi this season versus Durant, if you were sparking a controversial topic in the media, obviously the reason that Durant's up there with them and they're bringing other guys in is because to try and direct invalidate Durant, you have to go against guys offensively, right? And since Harden and Giannis are your MVP candidates, and Kawhi doesn't say anything. He sits in a corner and just does his thing. He never gets brought up in these debates. He's never brought out into the limelight as could he be the guy. But when you listen to...
That's what happens when you play 60 games throughout the regular season.
When you listen to basketball circles, like, you know who I heard? I actually want to bring this up. You know who I heard ask if Kawhi Leonard was the best player in the NBA? Right here in this city, someone whose basketball knowledge I truly respect, D. Lynham, was talking about this on the radio after game one, really breaking down the fact is Kawhi the best player in the NBA?
Stop. You're talking about a Philadelphia media person on an overreaction of game 1 after he torches them for 45
But
points.
do you not?
That's the thing, and that's exactly what I said to you.
Respect D. Lynam's NBA opinion.
I mean, I get it, but it's also an overreaction. People in this city, and you in particular, like I told you that night after they lost, it was an overreaction. To say that he's the best player in the league based on one game is ridiculous.
But I didn't. I just think that here's the thing about when you become the best player, you need a coming out party, right? Every player has it. You need a coming out party. And this is his coming out parties, plural, has been this year.
Why do we act like he's never been in the playoffs?
He has been in the playoffs, but he's constantly overshadowed by other players, other situations, and now he's not.
Well, let's see what he does this year, because this is a huge year for him, because this is his team. This is all on him. Not like the Spurs haven't been in the past, but he hasn't been able to get over the hump with the Warriors. I mean, I'm just saying.
I don't even know where
you're playing this because you know I'm right.
The reason I keep playing this clip, there is a reason I keep playing this clip.
D. Lynam overreacted, and so did you, and so did everybody else.
The reason I keep playing this clip is because this is the only media you ever hear from him, and that's one of the reasons why he doesn't get mentioned on your TV shows.
Who cares?
Because he's not Durant out in front of the media every freaking day with a microphone in his face, and he's not Harden complaining about the referees after every game. He's not Giannis in a ton of TV commercials. That's the reason he doesn't get talked about. That's why I keep playing this clip, because this is the only goddamn clip you can find him talking to the media.
What does that have to do with him as a basketball player?
You're making my point. I don't need the glitz and the glamour. What I need is a guy who can go out, get me a bucket, and who's going to guard the best player on the other team and shut him down.
We're talking about
the best player in the league right now in one game is Kawhi Leonard. The most feared player in the league is Kawhi Leonard.
We're not talking about apples and oranges, though, right? We're talking about comparing. Like, obviously, everyone knows what a stud he is. Everybody. Like, I'm not saying that he's not. The fact is, like, to say he's the best in the world, though, it's not true. It's not true because
it's there.
Because on a team comprised of Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Giannis, and pick whoever, Jokic or pick Embiid, whoever you want. Just put a team together. Who's taking the last shot on that team?
Who cares? That's not even a thing.
That is a thing.
Put those guys together. That doesn't make any sense.
I'm saying who's taking the last shot.
Who cares?
Who's
guarding the best player on the other team on that team?
I'm saying you can put.
I mean,
you could put Kawhi Leonard on Durant, and he's going to make that shot.
Yeah, and Kawhi Leonard would make the last shot over Durant too. But by the way, I don't know if he makes that last shot with Kawhi guarding him. That's the point.
He absolutely does, because he's unguardable.
No, he is close to unguardable, except for Kawhi Leonard.
Dude, I'm just telling you.
Here's the thing.
Who takes the last shot if that's the team?
Dude, being the best player in the league doesn't mean you take the last shot, because I got news for you. LeBron fucking James didn't take the last shot when the Cavs won the goddamn championship, and he was goddamn well the best player in the world when they won it.
Well, he was super heavily criticized about
that.
But
he didn't take the last shot, and he was still the best player in the world without taking the last shot.
So wouldn't you want the best player in the world to take the shot?
But he didn't, and he was still the best player in the world.
That's why he was super criticized.
But he was still the best player in the world.
And that's why
Kyrie
has the killer instinct.
You don't have to be to take the last shot to be the best player in the world.
I really think you do.
Well, then LeBron James hasn't been the best player in the world the last 10 years, is what you're saying.
No, because on that Cavs team, he did when Kyrie was gone.
But he didn't many times, and he didn't in Miami.
I know, and that's why he was criticized until that point.
He was criticized, but he was still the best player in the world, yes or no?
I mean, there was debate about Steph those 2 years when he won the MVPs.
But LeBron was the best player in the world. So there you go. I mean, there's no right answer here, right? We're obviously just going to debate about it. But for me, and we'll move off this because we've been talking about it for a while. But for me, just saying that, who would you rather have take the last shot? I'd rather have Steph Curry take the last shot than Kevin Durant, only because I love to see it.
I just disagree.
Because I still love Steph, by the way. I texted you that we were watching the game. How awesome is it to watch Steph, dude? Like, I still love watching him. It doesn't get old for me. Watching the little guy dribble around and throw up a shot, and like it'll never get old.
I think there's fatigue there though too.
With Steph, there is nationally.
There's mouth guard fatigue.
Yeah. And there's pointing fatigue, and there's shimmy fatigue.
And it's way easy to do that with the squad that they have. I get it. It's easy to do that.
It's easy to hate.
So we're gonna see a lot next year once some things move out.
Yes.
Where they fall, because we know what he can do, and obviously I'm not taking anything away from him because he's done it he was the guy without Durant.
Yes.
He was the guy without Cousins. I mean, obviously we know what he can do, but we're gonna see how everything falls back into place once Durant's gone, Cousins gone, like all that stuff.
Yeah, this is gonna be.
And Draymond is no longer an elite player in the league.
I don't even think he is elite now. That's
he's definitely not. But at a certain point, he was close.
Yes. Well, I wanted to talk about the draft, but we kind of ran long here. I think that's pretty much all I got. One thing I wanted to ask you, Prof, before we went to the wayside. So a certain movie came out last Thursday.
What, Game of Thrones?
Well, no. We're not. I already decided we can't talk Game of Thrones
Why?
until the season's over because, spoiler alerts.
Oh, come on, man.
Can't do it. People are going to get mad. But a certain movie came out last Thursday, and it's the last of the whole first Marvel universe, and that's Endgame. And I know you are super anti these movies, but I've heard it's amazing. I haven't seen it yet. Are you going to see it? You're going to see it, aren't you?
No.
You're not going to see it? You're lying. You're going to see it.
I'm not going to see it.
You're not going to see it at all?
I still haven't seen the last one.
Wait a minute. You haven't watched Infinity War?
No, I told you that.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I still haven't seen.
Bro.
I stopped watching them because they're the same movie all the time.
Bro. You're seriously not going to go see it?
No.
I can't wait. I can't wait to go see it. I'm pumped up. I've heard it's amazing.
Well, just go on Shady McCoy's Twitter and you can see it.
Yeah, I heard he wrote out the ending. What is up with him? Like, why would you do that? What's wrong with that guy?
I don't know. I guess he just didn't feel that it was as important as a lot of other things.
I guess not.
Dude, I'm not going to see it because I haven't seen the other ones. Maybe someday I'll see it. Maybe like when my kid gets older, I'll look at it and like watch it and have fun with it. But like, I literally do not care about it at all.
Dude, you know that Infinity War is on Netflix right now. That movie's amazing.
Should I watch it?
Yes, you should. It's really good.
I might fall asleep 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I always do that. That movie's long, so like I'll get to like the 15 minute
that's
mark.
the thing. It's like, oh my god.
Then might come back the nenext night.
Robert Downey Jr. talking again. Oh my god, he's making a witty quip. That's funny.
Halt said you thought the first hour and a half were boring. Well, it's long, right? Halt, it's well over 3 hours, isn't it? It's a long movie. I mean, they got a lot of story to tell. Right?
Dwayne Haskins, Halt.
Yeah, we got to talk about the draft. I had a lot I want to talk about with the draft, but we
might have a draft pod this weekend if we can get into it.
We're gonna have to. I had a lot I want to talk about with the draft.
Grade of the Eagles draft, just real quick. No other comments. Just give a grade.
C.
Woo! What? Really?
Wasn't happy with it.
Oh wow, you're a defensive guy. That's why.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's very sad.
Yep.
I give them an A-.
A-. Now we have to have a draft. We have to have a draft pod.
Listen, the Stanford kid is way better than you guys know.
We'll see. We'll find out. Hey, thanks everybody for popping in to the stream. Again, sorry about the YouTube situation. I'm working on it. I really am. I want to get this restreamed for everybody so that we're going live on both Facebook and YouTube. I will get it worked out. I know Ross is going to help me. Ricky says B-. We are going to do a draft special podcast, hopefully maybe this weekend if we can find some time, because I got a lot that I want to talk about. I know Prof does. We'll have more NBA to talk about. We still got baseball to talk about. There's a ton to talk about. There's always a ton to talk about. This is a great time of year for sports while the playoffs are going on. We didn't even touch on hockey.
Baseball started.
We didn't even touch on hockey.
I don't think we're going to.
Well, there's a couple things I want to say about hockey in the NHL, but it wouldn't take too long, to be honest with you. But that's it, guys. We're going to shut it down. Appreciate everybody hanging in. I'll make sure we notify everybody on our social media platforms when we're going to do our draft pod. But don't forget, if you want to get replays of the drafts or the pods and be in on the live pods once we get them going on YouTube, make sure you get on our YouTube channel, click that subscribe button. When the videos are out, leave a thumbs up. Helps us out. It's kind of important. And if you like the audio only, we are on the iTunes podcast application, of course. Name's right here.
Kevin Durant wins tonight. Game-winning shot.
Oh, I got rid of the Kawhi clip. I would have played it again.
See you.
Peace.
good. I wouldn't do it all if you feel bad. Better live your life. We're running out of time. Let's talk about